Hello, everyone. This is Kama with the online talk show Pursuing Your Passion, as well as the online radio show, KamaSpeaksRadio.com. And I want to welcome my guest, Mr. Konrad Rowe. I'm sorry, Konrad Rowe. Thank you so much for being on my show.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure to be here.
I really appreciate it. Now, why don't you tell my audience who you are and what you do?
Could you repeat that? We just said a lot.
Oh, okay. I was saying if you can just tell the audience exactly what you do.
Okay. I'm the founder of Life Community Development Corporation, which is a company that I founded for the purpose of assisting homeless veterans and veterans with PTSD, as well as suicide prevention among veterans.
Wow. And this month is the National PSD Month?
Well, yeah, we're last month, actually.
Oh, June, that's right, because we're in July today. I forgot.
Yes, we're in July today.
Yes, yes. Oh, my goodness. Okay, and you...
June 27th is actually the official date.
June 27th. Now, I want to ask, are you a veteran yourself?
Yes, I am a veteran. I served in the U.S. Army from 1983 to 1997.
Well, I must say thank you so much for serving our country. We sure do appreciate it. I know I do.
You're welcome.
And I will applaud you on what you're doing with the homeless veterans. So why don't you let us know more about your company and about your nonprofit organization and just some information about it so we can understand exactly in detail about your company.
Yes. This is a way, we call it VetLife, just VetLife CDC. It is a new company that we created for that purpose. And excuse everyone, there's an echo from, that's why there's a pause in my talk.
Okay, it's okay.
VetLife's purpose, again, is to create what we call veteran housing communities, and in those housing communities, it's a self-sustained community for veterans who are homeless or at risk of being homeless.
Now, is this only in one state?
Among the homeless, well, we're going to start in Florida, but our goal is to be in all 50 states.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful.
So there are a lot of organizations that are doing great work with veterans, but most of our focus on transitional housing, helping the veterans get from being homeless to going into a home. But those programs are temporary, and a lot of times the same veterans who have been helped end up back on the street.
Yes. Yes.
So our focus is to give them permanent housing.
Now,
and that way we will, work towards eradicating homelessness among veterans.
Okay, and what made you get into this field to help the homeless? Was there something in your life that happened or someone you know that triggered you to begin this business?
Nothing personal, but it's just driving around, seeing veterans always on the street, especially at stoplights. They please help. I'm a homeless veteran, and my heart goes out to them. And getting involved with the DA and looking at what's going on and asking questions, I found out, and just doing my own research, I found out that a lot of the aid that was being provided to veterans are temporary. So I've been working towards eradicating homelessness problem still exists, and it's not going to go away until there's a permanent solution created.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's wonderful, because yeah, you guys uh, do so much for us, and you're putting your lives on the line for us, and it's important that you guys, and this is for everyone, but especially because many have gone out to different wars and just fought for our country, and they should at least have a place to lay their head. If you can explain what PSD is for those that are not familiar with that
Uh,
acronym.
well, I do suffer from PTSD, so I am intimate with the effects of PTSD and how it's actually a silent illness. For years I had it and didn't know that I had it.
Wow. Now, how did you find out that you
So
had it?
there are a lot of veterans out there who suffer from PTSD, and most of the time when they're diagnosed, it's said to be too late.
Oh, wow.
Fortunately, the veterans who are just coming from Iraq and the other engagements that are out here recently, they're getting the help. But the veterans who were in Korea, Vietnam, the period of like Croatia, the first Desert Storm, Somalia, and all the other things that the military have had to do over the years, many of them are not getting the help that they need. Some are not getting the help because they are not even aware that help is available.
Wow. Wow. And how did you find out?
So in my own personal case, it was many years, about 18 years after getting out of the military before I even got any help at all, because I didn't know the help was available.
Okay.
So that's one of the reasons why PTSD awareness and suicide prevention awareness among veterans is very important.
Okay. Now, how would someone know, since you didn't find out right away and you caught yours in time, at what
We're
point?
having a bad connection, so let me just ask you to repeat that, please.
Oh, no problem. I was saying that at what point do you think people should be able to, or should people test for this disorder before it gets too late?
Well, right now, I believe every person who has ever served in the military should get tested for
Okay.
PTSD, just to see if whether they feel they have it or not. I didn't believe that anything was wrong with me, and so I went about my life thinking that everything was okay. Whereas my family knew that something was wrong with me, but they couldn't put their hands on it.
So your family pointed this out
And
to you.
it just happens that sorry.
I'm sorry. I know and for those that are listening, those that are watching, we just have a little bad connection. There's a little echo in his ear. I know you guys can't hear it, so please forgive us, but we can hear you very clearly. You on?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, with my family, they knew something was wrong, and I kept saying, no, nothing's wrong, I'm perfectly fine. Well, fortunately for me, a very observant nurse at the VA, when I went in one day for my appointment for my disability, I'm physically disabled also.
Mm-hmm.
I saw something and that prompted her to ask some questions, and because of those questions, she was able to refer me to the appropriate departments at the VA, and then I was diagnosed with PTSD.
Oh, wow.
And then I started to get the help that I needed. One of the reasons why I am so adamant about it, especially with suicide prevention, is because PTSD, one of the effects that PTSD causes is also it leads to suicide. And among veterans, it's been noted that every day, 22 veterans suicide.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's a big number. That is a big number.
Yes, and when you call it, you know,
So this the with this disorder, is it because of just the all the mental that you have to handle and the emotional things that you have to handle while you're out there at war and all that you see, and is that what the cause is?
they're not completely sure, but you know, it's called post-traumatic stress syndrome. It's not everyone who has it has been in combat. They've experienced some kind of traumatic occurrence, uh, a vehicle crash, or just being in an area where explosive ordnance go off, or anything. They're not sure exactly what it is that triggers someone. And unlike a lot of other illnesses, even mental health illnesses, it's very hard to diagnose what PTSD is. So you have to go through an extensive questionnaire, and some of the things that were uh, considered to be okay with people coming out of the military, whether they went to war or not. Stuff as being hyper alert, not wanting to sit with your back to the door. Those things are now being identified as identifiers of PTSD.
Wow. And you're also, like you said earlier, you're helping the homeless with the transitional housing, and this hopefully, as well as it can go hand in hand with being diagnosed, and the suicide rates and everything, because they lose so much, and sometimes they do feel like just taking their life and ending it all is what's going to just be the end to the
Mm-hmm.
problem. So you're able to help them get off the streets so that they can look for employment. You provide assistance with employment and different things to help them get back on their feet, correct?
Well, our goal is that we want not only just employment, but even self-employment.
Okay.
The
Entrepreneurship.
problem with employing veterans is that sorry, a lot of civilian employers are not aware of the veterans have in being reintegrated into the workplace.
Mm. Yeah, because that's a definitely a
There's the
different
military
transition.
culture.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the military culture and the civilian work culture are two different things.
Okay.
So you have some veterans who can make it into civilian life, come back in, start working a civilian. Now, okay. Others, depending on what they did when they were in the military, find it difficult.
Mm. Yes.
So you end up having veterans getting job reviews up there too intense. They're overbearing, and so they get a lot of negative reviews and eventually lose their job. So they can't keep their job.
Uh-huh. So they deal.
And it is especially found out, especially when the person, say, a reservist, works in a civilian job, goes off to war, and comes back.
Mm-hmm.
Now they say they're suffering from PTSD. Then when they're on when they come back to their old job that they used to function in perfectly, now they're having a problem in that job,
Wow.
and then they lose their job.
Wow. Well, if you don't mind me asking, when a person leaves the military, they're not placed somewhere else? Is it once they're discharged, they're just out on their own based on what
I
they
didn't hear
learn?
you.
I said based on the information, I'm sorry, based on someone leaving the military, are they not placed in a job or they're just completely on their own once they're discharged?
Well, in some instances, they get help to stop placement. but what you have to understand is that there's an intensive indoctrination civilian life or long, and there's a similarity that I can say between the military and say a civilian life is a soldier or a marine or anyone in the military is in a kind of incarceration.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're not free to move out as they feel like moving. They can be on base, walk around, but if they want to go home, they got to get a pass. They got to get permission to do things in life that civilians take for granted.
Okay.
So now when they come out of the military, there is no extensive deconditioning.
Wow.
Their language is different. They use a lot of acronyms. So to come into a regular workplace and correspond, and even if they're doing a similar job that they did in the military, the language is different.
Wow.
This is not to say that every veteran has a problem in the workplace.
Uh-huh.
There are hundreds and thousands of veterans who function effectively in the workplace. They become assets to their employer. But there are the few that fall through the cracks, who just, for whatever reason, and the biggest cause of those problems is PTSD.
Oh, wow. Is that disorder only through the military, those that are in the military?
PTSD?
Yes. Or it's just more common among?
PTSD can affect someone who's a civilian.
Oh, wow. I guess you hear so much from it.
Car accident, the death of a loved one can be triggered for PTSD.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow.
Everyone, whether you're in the military or you're not in the military, is susceptible to developing PTSD.
I guess because we just hear about it.
The initials are post-traumatic stress syndrome.
Okay.
Disorder.
And it's just because we hear about it so much more from the military side than we do from the civilian side. And that's why I was asking, because I'm sure there may be some watching that probably had the same thoughts that I had, that maybe that was just something that just seemed like it was more diagnosed. But like you said, it's not, it makes sense with what it stands for. Now, what are some other things that you're doing to expand your organization? Are you looking for sponsorships? Is this being funded through the military, or is this something that just you're doing all on your own?
Right now, it's self-funded. In that I'm the primary funding. I'm providing the primary funding. I am looking for donors. I'm looking for supporters. We're working towards getting some grants, and they're looking at what the government and the VA is offering in terms of grants. But the bulk of what we need is going to come from people who will help us through their donation.
Okay. So for those that are watching, if they want to get in contact with you or donate money, where can they go to do so?
They can go to our website, vetlifecbc.org.
Okay. And there, for those that are watching, there you can find out all the information that Mr. Rowe is doing with VetLife. And it's important that we support his efforts. I know I have family that's in the military. I just had a family member of mine that passed away about 2 years ago, I'm sorry, almost 2 years ago, not due to anything with the military, but he was sick and he passed away in December of 2012. But he served in our country. he had hard times sometimes finding jobs, and he was able to find some things, but I know sometimes it gets hard. Us as civilians, we just assume that they get help, and we wonder, well, why are they on the streets? Why do they have signs? Why is this going on? Why don't they just get the help? Because we figure it's just given to you, you know. But obviously once their time is done, then some people are just left without. So many people stay, many people leave, but it's important that you are educated on what happens. And for those that are out there serving our country, I personally want to say thank you so much for serving our country. I have a uncle that just retired about 2 years ago, and he's teaching now. But thank you so much for serving our country, and thank you, Konrad Rowe, for being on my show and for your efforts and what you're doing. I really appreciate it, and I hope and pray that you get all the funding that you need in order to keep your your organization going, because we definitely need something like this, and we do need this everywhere. Being in real estate, for veterans, especially that has a VA, there to get a property is not that easy. Just because they're VA, it's probably one of the hardest for them to get. So let's start supporting, let's start helping. And I wanted to tell you thank you so much for being on my show. I really appreciate this time, and I'll do what I can to um, support your efforts. So thank you.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. And it was a pleasure to be here and share what we're doing at Deadline CDD.
You are welcome. And for those that are watching, if you want to get in contact with me, you can go to commaspeaks.com. You can also watch more interviews under For Sale by Comma, which is my YouTube. And if you want to follow me on any social media, you can follow me at Kama Speaks, and that's Kama Speaks on Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. And remember to support his efforts. All his information will be here. So make sure you go and you visit the website and spread the word. And remember, no matter what you do in life, always pursue your passion.